Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Elevated Podcast. I'm so excited to be here with you guys. I'm bringing you guys Health is a New Black, continuing the campaign. I'm here with a couple friends from LABI College, and I'm going to go ahead and give them the opportunity to introduce themselves. But first I want to give you guys my gratitude. I'm so thankful for each and every one of you guys that listens to me each and every week, and if you don't, anyways, but this is, we're going to go around the table. We're here doing a panel. And so if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, give us your age, what you do, I don't know. And today's question of the day is, if you went to an island for 1 month, what are 3 things that you need to have? Okay, so go ahead.
Hi, my name is Vanessa. I'm 19. I'm currently just going to school, and that's about it. And I would take, for the island, water, a blanket, and a knife.
We're going to ignore that last one. Go ahead.
My name is Stephanie. I'm 19 years old. I'm currently an LABI student, and I'm also working part-time. The 3 things I would take to an island would be a blanket, some food. I'm surrounded by water, so I don't need that.
I don't think that's drinkable water.
And
salt water, maybe.
And
She's thinking really hard, guys. Her eyes are closed and everything.
Oh man,
Full concentration mode.
I see smoke coming out of this.
yeah, we're just gonna take a knife too.
We took 2 knives.
2 knives.
2 knives now. We got 2 knives, guys. Go ahead.
My name is Daniel Rojas. I'm 22, and I go to school also here where we're at. And 3 things I would take is definitely a knife. I would take a notebook. The notebook has a pen in it, and I would also take fire starter.
There we go. Okay.
Hi, my name is Johnmark Rivera. I am 22 years old, currently an LABI student. What I would take water, or like those tubes that convert anything into water.
Filtered water?
That's
Filter
smart.
water. Filter water.
Yeah, those filter things. A knife for sure, and some rope.
For I don't know. I just want the rope there.
Rope.
That was gonna be my option.
My name is Sandi. I am 21 years old, and I also come to school here. And I would take a big blanket. I would take a journal as well, and some earphones.
With no
The
phone.
phone and the earphones.
The phone has earphones in it.
She said AirPods.
I don't speak broke.
Speak broke. Well, my name is Josh. I'm 24. I go to LABI. I work on the weekends. And 3 things that I would take. I would take a flint, like you know those. I would take I think a box cutter would do it. A box cutter. Now so I can retract and stuff. And then
So-
go ahead.
I thought you were done.
And some beef jerky. Beef jerky. Yeah.
So I hope you guys were paying attention. None of them said the word of God. So I don't know how they're gonna survive out there.
But the word of God is already in me.
It's already inside.
Oh,
Listen.
Bible college students.
Literally. No, but I just want to go ahead and get started on this video, guys. I got some interesting topics that we're going to be talking about, and I'm going to be asking them questions about these certain things. So here we go. So I went around the room and I asked each and every one of my friends, what are some things that they battle with? And I got some answers back, like self-esteem, depression, anxiety, paranoia, anger, and even porn addiction. And I'm going to go ahead and start asking each and every one of them, not only the story behind their struggles, but I also want you guys to have practical things that you guys can use in your everyday living so that we can overcome these things, so we can actually be healthy emotionally, physically, and spiritually, and physically. So one of the main things that I found interesting was almost everyone in this room has dealt with depression. Vanessa, why do you think that's, kind of like this big problem, not only within our culture, but just in general?
That's a heavy question.
Okay, heavy answers coming up.
I don't know. I feel like sometimes I feel like people are going through a tough time and are honestly really sad, and they just label it as depression. And then I feel like there are people who are depressed, and then there's people who obviously have bipolar depression, clinical depression. So I feel like nowadays, like I had mentioned, it's like popular to be depressed. It's seen as in a way it's cool, which is kind of sad. So I don't know. I feel like it's just been a topic where if you're sad, you're automatically depressed. When I don't think that's always the case.
And go ahead.
So do you think it's like a blanket term that people just use today? It's just like, oh, like I'm feeling this type of way, I'm depressed.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Do you think there's a difference between depression and sadness? Obviously sadness is emotion, but can you be emotionally depressed?
Emotionally depressed. Well, sadness and depression. I would say like depression is something more like deeper than just sadness. Because like you could be sad, either in a couple minutes you could be happy. Right?
Like you dropped your ice cream. Now I'm sad.
I'm sad. I'm not gonna be depressed.
yeah. No. And and the thing is this. As I research these mental health issues, this is kind of like why you have anxiety disorder or depression. It's because it's a state that you feel like you can't get out of. Like you wake up and you are depressed. Like, why am I feeling this way? Why am I anxious? Why am I having these thoughts? Why am I having this doubt? Why am I feeling this certain way when I just started the day out?
Well, I feel like it's like you said, it's a state, and it's like a block kind of, So like everything that you do, like, always has to revolve around, your feelings, your emotions, you being, sad and stuff. Like you wake up and you don't even. I also think that it's like a little lack of God too. Like how can you be depressed if you don't feel blessed in the morning? Like if you wake up and you don't feel the need to thank God, So I just feel like it's something that can be
pushed off.
Yeah.
And I also I've dealt with depression, and it's people think that once you are out of the season of depression, it's done for. Like it's over. But it's more of a season after season sort of thing, Obviously, I'll overcome it, and I've overcome it because I haven't died yet, but or killed myself, things like that. But the thing is this: when you start to notice how blessed you are, you start to battle it out. Yeah. And you start to push out of it. Right. Like, man, I'm so grateful for, having a car or having a meal, having friends, having...
It's more of a shift of focus. Right. Like, because what I've seen and what I've dabbled with my depression is it's more of like shifting your focus. Because I feel like depression is one of those things, and same thing with like anxiety, which is something that I've struggled with, is that it's more of a like... you feel surrounded by this thing or by this state, and it's just like changing your mind. Like I'm not gonna focus on things that are.
It's kind of like a cloud over you.
Yeah, and then but you know that the sun is still shining even though the cloud is there. So it's like and if you let that cloud get to you, then it makes you think that the sun is gone.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys ever seen this meme. There's two people in a bus, and obviously there's somebody on the left side, someone on the right side. And so you see the guy in the left side looking at the sunshine. And he's like, wow, this is beautiful. This is amazing. And then there's the other guy on the opposite side that is just looking at, it's just dark and gloomy and everything. And so sometimes all we need to do, like you're saying, is shift our eyes because the guy next to the sunshine, all he had to do was literally turn to the side and it was right next to him. And so I think it is a bit of a challenge in mentality.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's easier said than done. Like, what
For
if
sure.
you're in
No.
a situation where you can't possibly believe there's gonna be a greater outcome? Like, that's when it gets harder. Like, yeah, you can have, and I feel like that's also where faith plays a big role, where you start believing God that maybe in a couple months things won't get better, maybe in a year it won't get better, but God, what are you doing with this season now? Instead of, oh no, things are going to get better, because sometimes they don't. Sometimes people are stuck in situations where they're stuck, there's no way out. So that's when people get really sad, and they get very like, I don't know, there's no hope, like I'm stuck here. So, and then that's when people start talking about suicide and things like that. Like, you feel stuck, there's no way out, there's no hope, there's no faith, so why keep living?
But the thing is this, I think that in the storm, like when you're going through the storm, when the world, you know, when your situations, when your circumstances are pushing against you, is when you're gonna become stronger, you know. And I've seen in my life that when the storms feel stronger, and I come out as a champion, I feel stronger at the end of the day, and it benefited me in ways that I didn't see it before.
Right.
And so I think that behind my mind, that's something, you know, that you must have, is a mindset of, this is for the best.
Yep.
This is going to work out good for me because I have a God that at the end of the day has my back, that will not leave me alone, you know. And I also wanted to talk about self-esteem, and whether or not you realize it, kind of, you know, anxiety or depression could have an impact on self-esteem.
Right.
Just because you're saying, man, I'm going through all this, and now, you know, a lot of people feel ugly. And I don't know why people feel ugly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I literally I sit down with conversation and have a conversation with beautiful people, you know, handsome guys, beautiful girls.
Because you're handsome.
No.
Come on.
No, but for real. Like, I sit down with beautiful girls and handsome guys, and they say, man, I don't like my nose. Man, I don't like my butt. Man, I don't like my shoulder. You know, like, they start naming things that they don't feel complacent with.
Yeah.
And I say, man, you're beautiful. You're amazing. Why? You know?
I think I agree with you guys saying, like, the whole season thing and the falling of self-esteem. I think for me it was the opposite way. Because of my self-esteem, it caused depression. And growing up, it was an issue for me. So I think, yes, it's a season, but it's rooted from something else. And for me, as I was growing up, self-esteem was a big thing because I was surrounded with these amazing people, beautiful friends, but I was always pushed aside, always bullied. So my self-esteem went from, okay, I'm God's image, to I'm a piece of trash. And growing up, obviously, I learned to deal with it, but it's still something that I go and, like, I look at myself in the mirror and I see something that I wish I was, looking at myself something that I'm not, you know? And I think, yes, it's an issue and it's something that can be overcome. And I think that's where it falls in with the whole faith thing. But a lot of it has to do, at the end of the day, like, also the people you surround yourself with. You know, are they people that are helping you and uplifting you rather than pushing you down? And then again, it's not just them who's going to decide who you are. It's time for yourself, you know, to value yourself and just believe in who you are and love yourself for who you are.
I wanted to speak a little bit on kind of like, you know, self-esteem and appearances. You know, like, I look at myself in the mirror and I swear to you, my mindset has changed, like, in the last maybe 6 years or so. I look at myself and I hate myself. You know, like, man, why aren't you, you know, like, I'm dark skinned. You know, like, why am I not white? You know, or why don't I have blue eyes? Why am I not taller, God? You know, and it's been a process in which I felt like, God, why didn't you make me different? But nowadays I look at myself and I'm happy with who I am. You know, and self-esteem, like you're saying, it has to do with the people that you surround yourself. because then you come bringing in drugs, or trying to fulfill yourself with women, or trying to fulfill yourself with riches, that at the end of the day will never satisfy us.
Right.
You know.
I feel like also, you know, social media, you know, has a big impact on it, because, you know, they throw out these unrealistic, you know, expectations of what we
and
should
ideals.
have.
Yeah.
Right, like, you know, all these girls that, you know, flexing for the gram, and, you know, like getting these likes, you know. It's like, she Twitter famous, but can she keep her job? Like, you know, like...
Preach that! But say louder for the people in the back, you heard?
He
He said she can't even flip tortilla.
Yeah. You know, like...
Where my breakfast at?
Come on, somebody. You know, and, you know, that has a big impact, man, because, you know, everybody just looks at, you know, things that look perfect on Instagram, but they don't know what they're going through. Like, you don't know how they're feeling on the inside. Like, you know, so I don't know.
And I want to quote the great Drake.
Come on, somebody.
He said, I know a girl who needs attention, but her latest caption is "Leave me alone."
Come on, somebody.
You know what I'm saying? Anyways, shout out to Drake. But it speaks truth. You know, like, we post things on social media that make it seem one way, when our life is a whole different way.
Yep.
You know, and just like the scripture says, everything that we do in private is gonna one day shine in public. You know, and so
But you know what's also one funny thing about that is we talk about social media and how perfection, I guess, is expected from a social media account. But even like us in this faith community, we have examples in the Bible, and like the most common thing, you talk about the Proverbs 31, like, she's perfect.
Right.
Like, that woman is perfect. And even living up to those standards is hard enough. Like, you expect me to be a Proverbs 31 woman? Like, do you know how hard that is, right? So I think, again, like, going with self-esteem and how you see yourself and battling with depression, anxiety, we'll always have examples in life, and we'll always have standards that could be good standards. They could also be very false standards. But it all comes back to you and to who you are as an individual. And I think that's something I've learned these last couple of years. I went through self-esteem issues, and it was after like a time of being praised as a woman, like being like reaffirmed,
being an ideal person for someone, or the society itself.
Being like, it's like you were what I needed, and then that ends, and then you're like, wow. So, I mean, I grew up believing that, and then I was told that, and I'm not. So what? You know, it's.
Right.
I think also too, it has to do with your past. Your past has a big part in your self-esteem and how you view yourself. For me, like, there's things within my past, and there's things, because like I know I'm not the only one. Like, there's things in my past that like made me view myself in a different way.
Yes.
Like, oh dang, I'm not this guy, or I wasn't enough for this person, or maybe this person wasn't good enough for me. What does that mean about like how I view things, how I view myself? And then I've seen it in a lot of other people too, where it's just like there's things in other people's past that's affected the way that they view now, things that aren't true. And I think that's where God comes in. It's like, all right, if you view yourself through this, like, what are the things in your past that you're not dealing with? Like, you know, there's a stigma like Christians are perfect, but we're not. Like, we still struggle with like a lot of things. Even in Bible college, like, bro, like, we struggle with like a lot of things that,
we're not perfect.
that God's like bringing up like our past. But it's I think when we live in this social media like perfect world, we negate the things that we should be dealing with, like things within our past. Like, oh, I want to live up to this standard, so I'm gonna suppress all the things to make me look this certain way.
You think it'll like elevate you to
right, and we think that that'll make things better. If other people view me like this, then it'll be okay. Instead of dealing with the things that you need to deal with, so that you will be okay.
To piggyback on what Johnmark just said, I think us as Christians, we tend to just put everything and store it within our hearts, that we forget that it's there So then we look around, us as Christians, we have to help, we have to serve, we have to give. That we so much do that we forget about our health within. And I think it's a very important thing to do, which is not just help others, but learn to help yourself.
And I wanted to talk about, like, quickly, within us, I love what Johnmark said, like, we suppress things and we stand on those issues, so that it's kind of like that toy, with what is it, Jack in the Box? I don't know what it's called. Yeah. And so, it's just trolling and our life goes on and our life is just a box until one day, like, boom, it jumps up and,
It's scary.
Yeah,
it's
exactly. It's scary.
Because, like, you haven't dealt with that thing.
Exactly, and we suppress that. And so, as far as comparison, how did you guys, or depression, anxiety, whatever, like those things, when did you find out that you were suppressing it, and then one day it just broke loose and it was just hectic in your lives,
For me, at least, it actually happened a couple weeks ago. I thought that I had gone through this healing process and that I was fine with myself. And thankfully, being at the place where I am now, which is here at school, it's given me a new perspective. And so when it popped back up, like you said, like when it came back like out of nowhere, I took it a different way. And I didn't go back to that depressed state. I didn't go back to that anxious place or that place where I felt like I was worth nothing. But I think time, and although people say that, although it's cliche to say time helps everything, it does, in a way it does. And then I think that even, you don't have to be perfectly healed, but as time goes on, and if things do come back up like that, like they pop back up, I think if you've been in the right places during that time of healing with the right people, and it does come back up, it's not as bad.
It's not as bad.
Yeah. I think it was here when I realized when, like, other people challenged me, because I think we like to surround ourselves with like-minded people so that they don't tell you anything.
So that there's nothing challenging.
Right. Yeah. So when you get people to challenge you and challenge your thought, then that's when you realize, like, oh shoot, I need to change things within me. Or like you realize that, or when you surround yourself with people who have different mindsets, you're like, why do I think that way? Or they'll say something like, there's been times where, like, Steph would be like, why are you doing this? Or Daniel the other day was like, why are you exposing Vanessa? I was like, oh shoot.
You right.
I was like, yeah. But it was just like, well, playfully. I didn't expose her on, like, social media. But But dry shampoo. By the way, dry shampoo shouldn't be a thing. Dry shampoo should not be a thing.
That's weird.
But
yeah, it shouldn't. It's weird.
Anyways,
showering
is a proper hygienic.
You black. No, but like, but that's the thing. Like that challenged me. Okay, so like, why am I doing that? Is it so I could be what? So I could look better, or is it something that in my heart, like, oh dang, I should probably change that. And although it wasn't like in a very malicious way, the intent wasn't to do it maliciously, but it could have.
But it's subconscious.
It could have came off maliciously. So it's here where I'm learning things in my own character. Like, oh dang, I should probably change that. Yeah. Because like back at home, like I don't like there is people who challenge me, but like when you come into a place where it's like, we grow up in a community who, like, it's like-minded people, like people who know you, grow up with you, and they understand you. But when you come into a community that
with
people,
strangers,
like these, I didn't know any of these people, but now they're coming from different cultures, different backgrounds, different families, different family systems, which is really important. It changes everything.
Yeah. I can see that because of the fact that when I came to school, because I deal with pornography, like that's my struggle. Right. And so like coming to school, especially Bible school, the first couple of semesters, I was like, I felt that everything was good, it was under control, like there was nothing happening. But I reached a point in my life where I felt comfortable, I felt confident, I felt proud. I was like, everything's good. And that's when it hit me. And that's when I went back into it. And I was like, wow, you know, I thought that everything was good. I thought everything was fine. But it wasn't until now that I was like in a comfortable state. I was like, you know, this is still an issue. And now it's something that I have to deal with. And I think, you know, going through it and like getting advice from friends and just like hearing different like advice, like I came to understand that, you know, this struggle of pornography actually has to do with the mind. It's a mental battle. It's a battlefield in the mind. And it's true because of the fact that it's in those moments where you're not doing anything. It's in those moments where you're alone with your thoughts that you have to make those decisions. Just like in depression and just like in anxiety, you make those decisions about, all right, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna sit here with my corrupt thoughts and handle them and deal with them and just let them be there and resonate and grow roots? Or am I gonna do something to get out of them and to go up and beyond and to kind of like shift that mentality? And so that's actually something that personally has helped me a lot, is the fact that, you know, in the Bible it says in Philippians 4:8, it gives you a list of things to think on. It says, but think on these things, things that are pure, honest, of good report, things that are worthy of praise. And you know, like when I pray in the mornings, like that's my prayer to God. I tell him, you know, today I choose to think on these things. Today I surrender my mind to you and my thoughts to you. And I'm grateful that that's helped me a lot, because I go through the day with the mentality of, you know, I'm choosing to not stay down there. I'm choosing to go into this other state of, you know, where I'm free and where I think righteously, I think justly, I think on things that are good and are for my well-being.
And I love that you talk about porn addiction, and also, you know, as human, like not only as human beings but as guys, when a girl passes by, you know, we're like, sheesh, you feel me? No, but like, but the thing is this, you know, like it is a battle in our mind, and it's a battle against lust. You know, lust is, you know, the thing that activates in us, like, man, you know, and our mind starts veering towards that. And sometimes I even catch myself like, you know, like, why am I thinking like that, you know? And then I'm like, sheesh, you know.
I heard this quote, this saying, it's the first look is natural, the second one kills.
Santo, I like that one. You feel me?
So like, I mean, as guys, as like girls too, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know, and the thing is, for girls it's different. For girls it's different though, because
Don't go the second time, just stay there.
Just stare the first.
No, and the thing is, it's different for girls. You know, like I really do think it's different for girls. Like as guys, like I hear, you know, like as you know, I talk with guy friends and things like that. The thing that they say and that crosses a line is, man, what I would do to her. You know,
come on.
And that's the line that I try not to cross. You know, like, because I can sit here, I can honestly sit here and tell you, I can sit down and I could admire a girl for her beauty, for her body, whatever she is. Like, wow, she has a really nice body.
Right.
But my mind doesn't, you know, cross that. Oh, you know, like I would want to do that with you. You know,
Then you become that. Like
that's lustful.
That's the mentality of I'm choosing to think of that. I like what Daniel said. It's a choice. Like I think mental health is a choice. Like you gotta, if you want change, you gotta start choosing. You gotta want to change, because if you don't want to change, then nothing's gonna happen.
Right.
So I like the whole like it's a choice. So even with like thinking and your thoughts, like, it's a choice. Like I'm gonna choose to think that way.
And I'm not saying it's not hard,
Yeah,
because
obviously.
it's not like I just started watching porn like 3 months ago. Like this is something that I struggled since I was like a teenager. And so for me to say that, like for me that's big, because to be in a place where you don't feel that you're how do you say, like you're in bondage, that you're like
it's like a
subject to
stronghold.
something.
It's a stronghold.
To feel that you're no longer detained, that's a big thing. Like to feel freedom, to feel being able to comfortably be around friends and not feeling like, dang, like, you know, like I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Like that's a big thing. And so yeah, it's easy to say, yeah, you know, just change your mind, just change your thoughts and stuff. But it's easy to say that, But it does have its struggle, you know. It's an everyday thing, and it honestly is a decision not only in your mind, but it's also in your heart.
Yeah.
Because they're connected.
And I want to finish with this, guys. I want to go around the table, and I want you guys to give 3 pieces of practical daily advice that you can give someone. You know, like for me, battling with depression, it would be this. It would be giving someone this advice. Number 1, start being grateful.
Ooh.
Number 2, that's gonna shift your mind, and your mind will automatically start looking at your world very different. And number 3, battling with depression, you must want to change, you know, because if you don't have the strength within yourself to say, hey, I need to change, you're gonna be there for the rest of your life, you know. So
I guess I would say for depression as well. 1, letting go. Let go. Well, no. Okay, the only thing I would give as an advice is just to give it to God, because that's what helped me, and letting God work through that depression and that sadness. And yeah.
Okay, the 3 things I would say, or 2 or 1. I think one thing is maybe physically look at yourself in the mirror and stop thinking what other people think of you, but start thinking greater thoughts and better thoughts of yourself. Start admiring the things that you first didn't like. And then another thing would be surround yourself with people who are gonna help you and uplift you.
For me, and I'm not trying to be religious or anything, but to be honest, the first one is to come to Christ. I mean, His word says that who the Son sets free is free indeed.
come on, man, hallelujah!
That was the first thing that I had to do, was realize that I came to Christ and He sets me free. The second thing is to actually decide within yourself, do I want to get out of here? Do I want to stay within this? So the second thing would be decide, do I want to or not? And the third thing is to act on it. So I personally, like I said, Philippians 4:8, I began to think on those things, and I began to declare it, and I made it part of my life that I choose to think on these things.
I love it. And your words become flesh. I truly believe that.
Let's go.
So are your thoughts. Yeah.
Let's go, boys.
I think 3 things for me practically would be, number 1, prayer. Prayer helped me out a lot. I think it was in my prayer times where God's peace was more than like it was overwhelming to me. Like I remember I would pray then fall asleep because I'd be feeling so anxious, pray, and then having the best sleep of my life.
Yeah.
And then second would be understanding or finding your triggers. So whenever you do have anxiety, what triggered my anxiety? Or like what happened that caused me? And then number 3, or that was number 2. Number 3, why did those things trigger me? It is also important, because first you got to find out what triggered it, and then why it triggered you, and then deal with that issue.
For me, with depression, with self-esteem, I think one of the things that helped me the most practically was I would wake up every morning and it would be like, okay, this is a new day. How am I going to take this day? And one thing practically that I did do was I made sure to get up a little before everybody else got up to pray, like to admire where God had me and why God had me, and just to soak that in. Like there's a reason why I'm here. So prayer early in the morning really helps. It clears your mind and it focuses your day. Another, I don't know if it's practical, but forgiving myself. I had to say, like, you know what, if there was a God who forgave me 2,000 years ago and He died for me, I need to forgive myself. And so I had to constantly remind myself, forgive yourself. And then just constantly, the third would be constantly keeping in mind, like, no, it's not, there's more to your little, pool of sorrow. There's more, there's a greater purpose. And so I was just keeping my mind ahead.
Love it. I love that.
Oh, well, me, the first thing is, always, Christ. God has, a weird way of making things work, and he'll reveal stuff to you that, you're just like, wow, like, oh, that's what you meant, And the second thing, kind of what Steph said, is to watch who you hang out with, man. Like, my grandma says, it's a saying in Spanish that says, el que anda entre las abejas se le pega la miel, which basically means, like, you are who you hang out with, Yeah. Like, if you hang out with people that you still, like, smoke or drink, what are you going to become, Like, so also that, but if you hang out with, people that, go to church, praise God.
Praise God.
Praise God. You're gonna, eventually fall into that, path as well, So that's really important. And also, there's I don't know what verse it is, but it says the wise, sees the bad and sees, bad and flees from it. So also, like, you can't go to places where you know that, you're gonna, right, like, you're gonna fall. So I just, I advise people to, just watch your testimony and keep going, because you're not alone.
Okay. So I want you guys to imagine something. You are 98 years old. You're on your dying bed. Wrinkles, saggy, in places you don't want to be. I don't know. But you're in your dying bed. Your son, your daughter, your family is next to you. You have 2 sentences to say. What are your last dying words you're saying to them and advising them?
Just to number one, to feed my dog, because I love him.
If he's still alive.
Tofu.
You said tofu?
Man, just take care of my dog. And then also just to love like Christ did. There's so many things in life that we hinder ourselves from doing because we lack that love,
Yeah.
Well, if I was on my deathbed, I would hope to have a lot of kids sitting around me. So I would just tell them, don't be scared to be selfless. And don't be scared to give.
Yeah.
I think talking about, everything like mental health and everything, it's so easy to be caught up in ourselves and what I struggle with, what I have to overcome. But there is a beauty in pouring out where you're to a point where you're filled. And that's what I would tell. Let's see.
I think my final sentences and words of advice would be, carry my legacy and love God and love your neighbor. That's that.
Based on like everything that I'm going through with right now, the first thing would be waiting is definitely worth it.
Wow.
Waiting is definitely worth it. And the second thing is make time to be with your family and with your friends. That's probably the most important thing that I'm figuring out barely right now.
I think my last 2 sentences would be Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ!
No, I think I think I would say, honestly, I don't know.
I think that Jesus Christ.
I left the stove on, go turn it off and get the money under the bed.
What bed?
Which one?
Boom. No, but remember that God loves you, and through it all there's a reason for it, and God remains with you no matter what. I think that was 1 sentence.
I think that was like a paragraph. You would have died of Jesus Christ!
I would just say never give up on God, because He's never given up on you. Yeah.
Man, well, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was 40 minutes long. or so. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation we had. I think it's evident that everybody battles, struggles through certain things, and it's okay. It's okay to battle with these things, that you're not alone, and that there is light at the end of the tunnel. So please join me next week. I have a special guest for you guys. It's gonna be really good. I love each and every one of you guys. And yeah, so everybody say bye.
Bye.
¿Y quién vive?
Cristo.
¿Y a su nombre?
Gloria.
Hey.
Y a su pueblo.
Victoria.
Love you guys. Bye.
Come on, somebody.